Good afternoon, everyone. I am here on a very beautiful March afternoon with CAITLYN GEGEN, who is a candidate for Ninth Congressional District Congress. And CAITLYN, good to see you. It's the first time we've met. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's great to meet you, Tom.
It's nice to meet you. And I know you're running in the ninth. I'm over here in the 14th. We're in the middle of a chaotic situation right now.
Yeah.
Pray you never have to have special elections like we've had lately. But you've got
Mhm.
your own contested primary going on, so it's good for you to take some time out to talk to us today. So what I tend to do when I do these interviews is at the beginning I give the candidate sort of a minute or two, however long you want, to just
Mhm.
give us some background about you, who you are, where you're from, family, whatever you think is important, career, whatever. So I'm going to turn the camera over to you now so you can do that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So as you said, my name is CAITLYN Geoghegan. I am running for Congress in Georgia's ninth District. I grew up here in Swanee in Georgia's ninth District. Both of my parents were public school teachers, and my sister is a labor and delivery nurse. I am deeply committed to my community, and I'm running for Congress for them. Um, I am a proud double dog. I got my bachelor's and a master's in public administration from the University of Georgia. And then I studied at the London School of Economics, and I saw what a supportive social safety net could look like. I also had the pleasure, so I worked in local government and as a community organizer, and I had the pleasure of getting to work with people on an individual level and figure out how the government could better support them and how I could help them. And so I'm running for Congress because I'm ready to create change on the systemic level. And I think that that is the best way to help the most people at the individual level.
Right. You have to tell me about the London School of Economics sometimes. Not now, but I've always been interested in that place. There've been some very big names go
I
through that
know. I know.
institution.
Our very own
I,
John Ossoff graduated from
right.
there.
I
Yes.
think even I want to say Mick Jagger even
He did.
went through.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's the people you wouldn't think of, but yeah, there's been a lot of big time
Mhm.
people. But it's a very prestigious school. So good deal. Okay, so that's a little bit about you. Now, you said a little bit about this, but are there specific issues that compel you to run for Congress at this time? What are they? That sort of thing.
Yeah. So I think the main issues that are compelling me to run right now are like the future of democracy in our country
Mhm.
and in Georgia's ninth congressional district. We have a president who unilaterally decided to go to war with another country, and he's
Um,
putting ICE in our airports and threatening to send them to polls on voting day.
right,
And it's scary. But even amidst all these challenges, we are seeing a movement growing in our country of resistance and of working class Americans uniting and fighting for their rights and for a better future. I know that
right.
Georgia is ready to join this movement, and I am ready to fight for this movement. And so
Well,
I'm
good.
running for Congress because I also, in part, know that future generations are going to look back and ask us what we did when democracy was threatened, and I want to be proud of my answer. So I want to fight for democracy and fight for fair elections, fight to protect human rights, and fight for
Right.
our community.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I know that the ninth, the current ninth congressional representative I always refer to him as a quiet version of Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's not particularly loud or outspoken, but he has his definitely has his sort of a Jewish face laser moments, and where he comes across with some of the stuff. He's also running. He also seems to have, if I'm not mistaken, he's got multiple Republicans running against him in the primary. Is there something going on in the ninth about him that's drawing all this opposition to him on both sides?
Yeah, I I don't know if it's something about him or about his absence that is
Oh,
drawing
okay.
all this competition.
Right,
I do think that there is something because I spoke about the movement growing across our country,
right,
and I think there are also a lot of Republicans who are looking around and they know that this is not what they voted for and this is not the future that they want. And so I look forward to reaching out to them in the general and working with them
Right.
The slogan of my campaign is to build a better Georgia because that truly is what I'm fighting for. And I look forward to working with them to do so.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that because that struck me as being strange about how much opposition he's drawing. Now, if you were to get elected, you're a first term Congress person or member of Congress. What would you say would be like two or three specific objectives that you would like to pursue as a
Yes,
representative?
yes. So my three legislative objectives are to defend human rights, to expand affordable living, and to provide universal health care. So when I talk about human rights, I'm talking about women's rights, due process, human rights for the LGBTQ plus community, and also respecting human rights internationally. So when it comes to
Mhm.
women's rights, we need women to have control over their bodies and their reproductive futures. When it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, first it's defending their right to marriage because in the wake of all of the ways that Republicans have been testing the rights that the courts granted, um,
Mhm.
I could see them coming for gay marriage, and I want to
Right.
protect that. I also want to expand access to healthcare for the LGBTQ plus community, and then also expanding affordable living. I want to increase the minimum wage to $20 an hour. I also want to fight to break up monopolies because we need increased competition in our marketplace to help bring down prices. Finally, I want to advocate for universal health care and fight to get universal health care passed as a piece of legislation. The United States currently spends about 18% of its GDP on healthcare, and
Mhm.
other comparable OECD countries, which provide universal healthcare, only spend about 11% of their GDP. The model that other countries are using is not only cheaper, it provides better outcomes, it saves more lives. And so the
Right.
United States needs to transition to this model, and it will be better for everybody in CD9.
Right. Now, I don't expect to get too much in the weeds, but on the healthcare issue,
Yeah.
that's something that how do you what just in general, what do you think would be the best way to make a transition to that? Would it be like a ultimately? I think I would just say that if we could just do over single payer would be the best choice. But
Yeah, I agree.
we don't have a complete do-over. So how would you think would be what would be would it be a single payer approach, a multi-payer approach, or how do you think that would work?
So
Just
I would want the like a single payer from the government being the single payer, and then
right.
also though allowing for people to have a private insurance if they want that,
Hmm. Okay.
but offering universal health care from the government angle. Um, I think that the best argument against like good government and a bigger social safety net is a bad government. And so I think that we do need to be bold in our approach and stop with like smaller negotiations. And obviously, like there will be negotiations along the way. I'm open to working with Republicans, but we need a bold approach.
Right. Okay. Well, that is something that's an ongoing issue,
Oh yeah.
and I know that we're going to be dealing with that Social Security. We're going to be dealing with a lot of things in the years ahead here.
Yeah.
What this is not such a sexy topic, but it is something you have to think about when you're running for Congress. Congress
Yeah.
is run off of committees. What committees do you think you would prefer to be on as a representative? What would your choices be?
I don't know what you're talking about. This is the most interesting question. It's the legislation that I want
Well,
to focus on.
government geeks like us, it probably is. I don't know about for, but you're right. It is very interesting. So, what do you think your selections would be?
Yeah, so I would want to be on education and workforce,
Okay.
foreign affairs, and energy and commerce. So I would want to join energy and work or education and workforce because I want to increase federal investment in public schools and public universities. I want to increase teacher minimum wage. I want to expand Title I funding. I just overall intend to increase federal investment in our schools. Also, I want to expand workers' protections and workers' rights. Um, and I would do that on that committee. The Foreign Affairs Committee, I would want to join because I am very concerned about the United States' role on the world stage, especially when we defunded USAID. Um,
Right,
I think I think that that was an awful day for our foreign affairs, and so I would want to
right.
refund USAID, and then also hold the president accountable for their actions on the world stage. With energy and commerce, that's one of the ones that I think has the best potential. Georgia is currently
Mhm.
fifth in the country for solar energy. So I would want to increase investments in solar energy. I would want to increase investments in renewable energy and in clean energy. But I would also want to do so in a way that fights against the decades of environmental racism that we've seen. And so being sure to invest the clean energy in impoverished and underserved communities so that they also have access to the opportunities that clean energy will bring.
Okay, good deal. In fact, I was talking a lot about solar the other day. I was interviewing
Yeah.
Peter Hubbard at the Public Service
Oh,
Commission.
wow. Okay. Very cool.
That's the state version of the office that really
Yeah.
digs into that. So solar energy is something we can be doing much better at in
Yes.
Georgia, but
Yes.
overall in the nation, I think as well. So
Hmm.
okay, so let's see. If you are elected,
Hmm.
uh, uh, this is something that gets into constituency issues. Where do you think, if you had the funding available, where do you think you would have local offices for your representative office
Yeah.
in across the ninth district? Where do you think those would be and why?
Yes. So constituency issues are my bread and butter. When I was working in local government, it was helping constituents who called in get the services that they needed from the government.
Right.
Um, I think that a legislator's first loyalty should be to their constituents. And so when elected, I look forward to opening an office in Gainesville. It's the most populous city in the district. It's also
Right.
fairly easily accessible from all of the different points in the district. But I think in addition to having an office in Gainesville, it's important to have town halls throughout the community and go and meet people where they are and talk to them about the issues that are impacting them and are impacting their life every day.
Yeah. How many? I'm trying to think. How many counties are there in the ninth? It's like 12.
12 beautiful counties, yes.
Okay, okay. That's what I thought. I mean, it's a similar situation to what we have over here. Big district, physically speaking,
Hmm.
kind of spread out, rural, but still.
Yes.
Yeah, and Gainesville is certainly the biggest town in that.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay, so if you are elected, we kind of already discussed this. Yeah, obviously you're going to support reestablishing Roe versus Wade as the
Yes.
law of the land. What could Congress do quickly, or maybe not. Well, I don't know if Congress can do anything quickly, but what could Congress do to help in that regard?
Yeah, so first there's reestablishing Roe v. Wade. But then in addition to that, I would want to repeal both the Helms Amendment and the Hyde Amendment. So
Okay.
those two amendments prevent federal funding from being used to provide abortions. Um,
Mhm.
the Helms Amendment prevents it from being used domestically, and the Hyde Amendment prevents it from being used internationally. And so I think that women should have full autonomy over their bodies and should be able to make that choice.
Okay. And I think the good thing about the House is getting stuff like that passed in the House is pretty easy. It's just a majority. Right? The Senate's where a lot of this has to go to sometimes die, unfortunately. But yeah, the Senate is its own little animal. But in the House, we could do this, I think, quite easily. And maybe who knows what happens in the Senate.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you are elected, here's some other questions that are sort of
Mhm.
hot topics. You've already mentioned the war in Iran.
Mhm.
There's the ongoing situation with Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
Uh, how do you feel about? Well, I think we're all opposed to the war in Iran. That's just strikes me as being an illegal war, it's flat out. How do you feel about supporting Ukraine in the war against Russia and their invasion? Would you be for or
Yeah,
against that?
I would very much be for supporting Ukraine in that war. I think supporting them, but also supporting them in negotiations, making sure that they have a strong hand going into negotiations because we need this war to end. So many innocent people are dying in Ukraine, and
Right.
the US, if it gets involved, the US needs to be involved in a way that supports Ukraine and helps Ukraine negotiate the best outcome to this war.
And just to explain, I think sometimes these things get conflated. with
Mhm.
people. We've talked about Iran. There's the thing going with Venezuela.
Mhm.
These are obviously illegal things, and people may think the same thing about Ukraine. What would make the Ukrainian situation different than, let's say, the other wars that Trump seems to be stirring up right now?
Yeah, I would say to begin with, the United States is not the initial aggressor in Ukraine.
Right,
Russia invaded Ukraine, and also us getting involved in Ukraine, we would be doing it with the goal of helping people and helping protect their human rights and quite frankly their right to life.
right,
And so we could help fund Ukraine and provide them with the foreign aid and the international aid that they need to have a stronger
right,
hand in the war. Um, on the other hand, I would say that it's different from Trump's illegal actions in Iran and in Venezuela because he unilaterally um, started engaging in hostilities in those countries,
right,
and it was unprovoked, and there is no clear goal in what he is doing.
right. Right. And so you think Congress, what do you think Congress, what's the most direct approach for Congress to stop this? You think what would you be in favor of to stop it?
With the war in
The war,
Iran,
like the war in Iran, for example. What can Congress do to just stop that?
yeah, it's challenging because I think currently Congress is taking a retroactive approach to most things when they ought to have
Hmm.
taken a proactive approach, and that is the approach that I would look forward to using. So Trump bombed Iran last summer, and Congress could have passed a resolution limiting presidential war powers
Right.
or ending the authorization for the use of military force. Congress didn't do that, though, and I don't understand why. And so part of why I'm running for Congress is to take those proactive steps and provide democracy with the guardrails that we're realizing it needs.
Yeah. Do you think Congress should go as far as just revoking war powers from the president? I won't say period, but basically getting rid of the War Powers Act and just saying, we can't do this anymore if we're going to have somebody like Trump in office. That kind of. Would you be willing to go that far? I know it's kind of a hypothetical question, but I'm concerned as a former military person. I
Yeah.
never thought we'd get to this point. I know the presidents sometimes have to act, but we always elected presidents that we could kind of rely on to
Yeah.
act responsibly, and now we've not done that. So I'm curious, do you think Congress should just revoke the president's war powers entirely, or is there some kind of middle ground we can seek out here? It's a very
I
hypothetical question, but
It is. I would look to seek a middle ground.
okay,
The point of Congress initially, right, was to be the saucer in which the tea cools down.
right,
And there still needs to be an element of that. Also, though, the president does need to be able to take quick actions in times of national security. I
okay,
think more than eliminating presidential war powers, I would want to support voting rights by passing legislation like the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act.
hmm,
And so making sure that we have safer elections going forward and
right,
providing democracy with the guardrails so that we don't end up in another situation like this, I think is the best long-term solution.
right. Yeah, and definitely, I'm hoping that soon the Save Act will be killed and we can move on from that one. I hope so. I think this has just been sort of a play acting thing that they're going to eventually have to kill, but yeah, we definitely need to increase our voting rights strength.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so well, we've talked about. Is there any other particular issue we haven't mentioned yet that's out there that you think needs to be? Or you want to say something? Just because there's so many of them right now, it's hard to list them all on a piece of
I
paper.
know,
But
I know, and that's my
what about the terror?
platform.
What about the terrorists? That may be one. What do you have an economics background? What do you think about all
We need to end the tariffs.
that?
First of all,
Right,
the president should not be able to pass tariffs. That's the role of
right,
Congress. I think a lot of what I intend to do as a representative is help Con or fight for Congress to take its power back and then also act proactively instead of retroactively. And so taking its power back, not allowing the president to pass tariffs, and then also we also need to end them because we need to like the United States is powerful because of the relationships that we have with other countries,
Mhm.
and the tariffs completely disrespect that, and I think will ultimately hurt the United States in the long run.
Yeah. Okay. So we went through most things here. I think we're
Hmm.
down getting close to the end. I always like at the end for a candidate to take a minute or two to just give your closing stump speech, I guess you could say, about why the voters of the ninth congressional district should vote for you on May 19th. So I'm going to let you do that. So go ahead to wrap this up.
All
Why
right.
should the ninth CD vote for you to be their next Congress member of Congress?
Yeah. Georgia needs a representative who is going to bring an inclusive approach to all policies and is going to fight for the people living in Georgia's ninth district. We are living in a challenging time for our democracy, but I know that Georgia is ready for change. And Georgia is ready for bold change that is going to help the people in CD9. I am the candidate that is committed to seeing those changes through and is committed to fighting to build a better Georgia.
Okay. Caitlin, I appreciate your time today. I hope that at some point I'll get a chance to meet you in person.
Yeah,
When I manage to get over to Northeast Georgia, if I ever get out of Northwest Georgia, which until this election's over, I probably can't. But I am hoping to see you sometime soon, maybe when you're out on the campaign trail in the future.
definitely.
And
Yeah,
best of luck to you. And thank you for running it. It's a big responsibility, and I'm glad to see more and more candidates on our side running like you. So thank you very much for doing that.
thank you. It is an absolute pleasure.
Uh,
Can I ask
yeah.
when when will this interview, like when will you be sharing this interview?
Oh, let me go ahead. No, okay, I'll do that. I was going to say, yeah,
Okay.
I will. As soon as this is over, I will
Mhm.
get a copy of it from Zoom, and I will distribute it to you if you want one. And I
Oh,
also will get in touch with some of the ninth CD counties so they can put it up on their social media as well.
that
Okay.
would be great. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, Caitlin, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Good
All right,
luck.
all the best. Thank you so much.
All right.